A couple of days ago, I talked about one of the worst situations to ever happen in the UK. No, it wasn't me posting a video, but the Willy Wonka experience in Glasgow, Scotland. There's no way. Bro, it looks like an SCP laboratory. How did they get away with this? What? Now, I've already talked about Scotland. It's a mythical place where Shrek comes from. Everyone says donkey, and then they also eat deep fried Mars bars, which is very worrying. But if you remember from my previous video on the topic, the Willy Wonka experience was absolutely terrible. It was all advertised through like AI. They literally just used like DALL-E AI to generate all this. Enchanted Garden. There's no pictures. So none of it was actually real. It was all this amazing art, and then it looked less amazing the more you looked at it. Like, for example, they had a picture of Willy Wonka, and his hands look like those weird little screaming plants from the Harry Potter films. Yeah, so you can see the AI art here. It just looks absolutely terrible. Like, what is he holding in his hand? So that wasn't really the best advertisement. The problem is boomers, unfortunately, will fall for absolutely anything. I mean, a very good example, if you look at the state of Facebook right now, it is literally just boomers sharing AI-generated images that aren't even real. So yeah, the average age of someone that watches this channel will be able to see straight through AI, but with boomers, not so much. And boomers have kids, and they took their children to this Willy Wonka experience. And as you remember, which I talked about in great detail, it was a travesty. There was absolutely nothing there. It was basically just this, like, it looked like an underground bunker from the Metro games. And people just walked around there, did absolutely nothing. There was a bunch of curtains. There was a mirror at one point as well. And then a clip that went absolutely infamous online was the tour guide, Willy Wonka, saying, "What is that? It's the unknown."
What is that? It's the unknown.
And then you see this person hiding behind the mirror, kind of like showing their face. That was not a character part of the Willy Wonka canon, by the way. Apparently, they made up most of this experience through AI. It wasn't just the advertising online that was AI, but apparently the scripts that all, like, the guides were given, or the characters, the Oompa Loompas, the unknown Willy Wonka, it was all AI generated. So it was absolutely gibberish. Now, I already talked about this in great detail. It was a complete mess. You know, parents are very disappointed. The kids were probably just on their iPad watching TikTok. And on top of that as well, the organizers did offer a full refund. So even though it was a pretty bad experience, I mean, fair enough. They did as much as they could. They gave full refunds. Well, there has been a lot more updates since then. So the first thing to be found was more photos of the experience, because even though it was so well documented how terrible it was, there wasn't actually a lot of videos and screenshots that came out. There was those like 1 or 2 videos, 5 or 6 images that were being circulated everywhere that, you know, I was using myself. But here, for example, is a picture of the signposts saying Willy's Cafe. That is totally spelt wrong, by the way. But finally, we managed to get hold of the AI-generated scripts, and these are just a complete joke. So here's an example of why AI will always have its limitations. So here's the character Willy McDuff speaking. I have no idea why he's called Willy Wonka, probably so they don't get a lawsuit. And he says, "Suddenly brightening. Speaking of light spirits, I find myself quite parched after our unexpected adventure, but fortune smiles upon us. For beyond this door lies a room filled with refreshments most delightful, the Bubble and Lemonade Room." With a flourish, Willy opens a previously unnoticed door, revealing a room where the air sparkles with floating bubbles and a river of sparkling lemonade flow freely. And then if you look at the actual image of what this was translated into, it was basically like, I wouldn't even say that was half a cup of lemonade. It's like a shot of lemonade. And apparently the kids as well, because they were feeling generous, the event organizers, they gave them a single jelly bean. Now, a lot of people were wondering, who is the unknown? Who is this actor or actress that became so famous overnight? They're featured in like every single piece of fan art I see on my Twitter timeline. And believe me, they got a lot of fan art. Here, this picture actually shows a group of all the actors together. Well, apparently the actor for the unknown is in fact a woman, a female, and her name is Felicia. Now, I will go into detail with Felicia a little bit later into the video because she has a whole TikTok account that's blown up overnight, and she's gone into detail the absolute horror of working with that company. Now, you might know the game VR Chat. It's very popular with weebs and furries. Now, I know you'll find this incredibly surprising, but I actually haven't touched VR Chat in absolutely years. But despite that, VR Chat have actually made and advertised on their official TikTok account an entire recreation of the Willy Wonka experience in Glasgow. And somehow, even though they've purposely tried to make it look trashy and terrible, it somehow still has better presentation than the actual Willy Wonka experience. One thing I want to point out as well that's really funny, all the actors, they couldn't actually get actors, so they just have like still PNGs of these poor people that had to go through this experience, like as actors. And I don't think any of them were really paid. And if they were paid, it was probably very, very little and nowhere near worth their time. But now they have been immortalized by being PNGs inside of VR chat. Now, obviously, after such a traumatic experience, a lot of the actors actually came forward. One of the actors for the Oompa Loompa example that was memed on, the really unfortunate. Now, after this, obviously, a lot of the actors involved, because they were memed on so much, they did become quite famous. So some of them actually started going onto news reports on British TV.
Contemplating, do I just walk out this? This is just too much. Like, I can't deal with this.
Now, going on a news report on British TV, you're not really being watched by anyone except like middle-aged women. But still, you know, you gotta respect it. There's also been a lot of other actors coming out about their own experiences, like, for example, the guy that played Willy Wonka as well. Now, he runs a TikTok account called Paul Connell Comedy, and he talked about his experience and how the entire script was just AI-generated garbage.
Monologue, pretty much, of AI-generated gibberish.
There was also footage of, like, another Willy Wonka as well, and he's obviously rehearsed this AI-generated script, and what he's saying to this audience is just complete nonsense. It makes no sense. He talks about, like, socks at one point.
As the suit flavor, full of scary face. Oh my God. Scare the great unknown. Wonderful. I love oh, fantastic.
Now, a lot of the parents as well have posted videos of their own experience because, you know, everyone's got a phone nowadays, everyone's filming, and they were probably just at the time filming their partner, they were filming their children, thinking that they're going to have the time of their life. This is like memory building. And then they realize that they're in Scotland. But anyways, I find this funny because there's actually one clip of the kids getting some food that isn't just a single jelly bean, and it actually looks like prison cafeteria food. Like, you can see at the very end of this clip here, like just getting scoops of like marshmallows. No one there looks happy. It looks absolutely awful. Now, like I keep saying, a lot of the actors have came out and some of them have realized that with their newly generated clout, they can become like kind of a micro e-celeb. They could end up doing daily commentary videos like I do. But instead, some of them, the Oompa Loompa girl, for example, has actually chosen to do a cameo. Now, if you don't know what cameo is, it's basically a service where you can pay someone too much money for them to say like a sentence or get well soon or some kind of birthday message. I think the only YouTuber I know that actually set up a cameo was Memulous at one point. That isn't available anymore. I mean, even I've been reached out myself, but then I kind of realized that they take around 50% of like all the money that you make off every single message, and it would be very draining. So I'd have two choices: say happy birthday for like £2, or do daily slot videos. Okay, they're both basically the same thing. I'm looking at the Oompa Loompa girl's cameo right now, and she's charging around like $45-50 for a video message. It's a lot. It's a lot for someone who was famous over an event going wrong, you know, like DashCon, but at the same time, she's getting the bag. I respect it. I talked about this in the previous video, but the host of the Willy Wonka experience and the Illuminati Entertainment, which I'm not joking, that is the actual name of the producers for this operation, the guy was called Billy Cool. Now, one thing that's really ironic is Fire Festival, if you remember that, that was a complete mess. The guy that ran that was called Billy McFarland. This guy's called Billy Cool. So there's a bit of a running theme with people called Billy here. Now, Billy made a pretty long TikTok going into detail, and I'll be honest, I'm not joking here, right? He could do the best damage control imaginable. I don't care. I would like to know what this guy's accent is, because it is like 7 conflicting accents. He sounds a little bit Scottish at one point, then he sounds American, and then he sounds like Svenska or Swedish or something. If anything, he sounds like all the NPCs you talk to in Skyrim, because there would be a purpose blend of like Norway, Denmark, Finland, like all the kind of Nordic countries could kind of mesh together to make this like nonsense accent that sounds a little bit of everything, but it doesn't actually exist.
Hey, hi everybody. My name is Billy Cool. I am the CEO and president of Illuminati House, the company that put on...
I'm not joking. $100 to whoever actually deciphers this guy's accent, because I'm pretty sure it is not from a single country. It is like 7 conflicting personalities.
The Willy's chocolate experience that you may have seen all over the internet. I wanted to come on here and clear up a few things. As you can tell from my accent, I am not Glaswegian. I am not a Scotsman, although I am not currently wearing underwear. First, I wanted to apologize for those of you who may have purchased...
I like how he says he's not Glaswegian, but then he doesn't actually say what his accent is. Release it, bro! Drop the accent!
Just tickets. We have begun the refund process for all 850 of you that purchased the tickets at £44 per ticket.
That is still insane. Like I understand that he's giving the refunds, and that's very good, but the fact that they were charging like £45 per person to get into such an ass experience, that's wild.
I wanted to clear up a few things, namely that this was a scam. It was not. We spent £347 on this event, which is close to...
They spent £347 on the event, despite the fact that they're charging £45 per person. So after like 5 people came in, they would already be in profit. That is a lot less. Okay, I know the event was shambles, right? I know it was embarrassing, but to spend that amount of money, that's really small. I genuinely thought he'd turn around and say like 5k, you know, to hire the venue, to get everything, and then stuff didn't come. But they were spending pennies on this, like, to begin with.
$500,000 of US dollars. Spent £347 on this event.
£347,
which is close to £500,000. Which is £347 on this event, which is close to $500,000 of US dollars.
Wait. He said £347, but what I think he said is £100,000. But he didn't actually say that, because then he says $500,000. I feel like when he made this video, he should have actually been working off like a script or something, because I don't actually understand. So he says £347, which is actually close to $500,000. Like, I know the pound fell off because of Brexit and stuff, right? But I don't think the disparity is that bad. And now I'm on the other side of the spectrum, right? Quite literally, because I don't. Why is he saying that amount of money? Like, that would, there is no way that event would be close to $500,000. It would not be £300 to organize. It would not be 300,000. I was genuinely expecting a couple thousand at most, which then makes me think that this is like a giant tax thing or something.
We have been compared to Billy McFarlane's Fire Festival.
Okay, rightfully so. Rightfully so. It's a much smaller scale, and unfortunately, it was only the working class that was scammed, not the middle class.
Which is unfair. Although we share the same first name, it's not a fair comparison because Ja Rule had nothing to do with this. In fact, he was not even allowed into...
Okay, you can tell here by the tone of it. It's very hard to, because of like his accent. It's still like a Dr. Jekyll, Mr. Hyde thing. But it's very obvious that he's trying to spread a lot of jokes here. You know, he's basically saying the only reason why this isn't Fire Festival is because Ja Rule isn't there. If you remember, Ja Rule, who I've talked about before, was he's a rapper and one of the co-organizers of Fire Festival. And he infamously said in a meeting, and yes, I'm going to reuse the clip, they were talking about how the entire thing was fraud. And he goes, that's not fraud. That is false advertising.
That's not fraud. That's not fraud. That is, I would call that false advertising.
The UK. We tried to get him. That is another story. As we spent £347, and a lot of our suppliers did not come through last moment. In fact, many...
So he said £340 again, like he didn't correct himself. I actually think that this entire response he's doing is just a bit, because he's aware that the hate is going to be so, like, virulent that nothing he says is going to be able to, like, qualm them.
Of our supplies, our food, drinks, and even a few Oompa Loompas were lost in transit. We have not recovered any of them at this point. This is why kids were given 2 jelly bean and a quarter of a cup of lemonade.
So it was a quarter of a cup of lemonade, not even half. But to be fair, he did just say they got 2 jelly beans instead of 1. I like how every story I'm reading online, like they're changing the amount. It's like they got a handful of jelly beans, they got 1 jelly bean, they got 2. Like, we're really trying to answer the important questions here. Like what was the accurate amount of jelly beans that people received?
But I did want to echo what my lead actor, Paul Connell, who played Willy Wonka, said. In some ways, it was a world of imagination. Like, imagine that there is a chocolate factory here. So that is last minute what we were counting on, that the children would use their imagination to just fill in the gaps. Many people... Okay,
yeah, he's doing... I can't believe it's taken me 2 minutes into this video to realize he's just doing an entire bit. Like he's actually doing an entire bit. He's not taking any accountability whatsoever. He's just using irony He's using like 5 layers of irony as a defense for absolutely everything. Like, he's admitting that it was dog shit. The only thing he's actually admitted that is like pretty good is about the refunds. Because to be fair, from what I've seen, he hasn't tried to worm his way out of that. But he's using like irony as just a complete defense here.
People have accused us of using ChatGPT to write the script and the advertising, which
see the joke is going to be, now I'm trying to predict it, is he's going to say it's not ChatGPT, it's actually another AI software.
is utterly false. We would never do such a thing. We used Google Bard.
Yeah, literally called it. Literally, I did not, I promise you, like I did not pre-watch this video. I actually called it. Like that's so, he's doing the irony bit so much, it's actually predictable now.
I am glad to announce Willy's Chocolate Experience 2, where we will finally deliver on the promise of cat cutting, cartchy tunes, and a pasadisive sweet.
I genuinely think he's doing an accent, so he can't be identified by authorities. But what are the comments saying? Release the script. Brother is not Billy Cool. That's not Billy Cool, that's Billy Couldn't. Tell us the unknown's lore. You wouldn't want to know. So yeah, that's his response. What is TikTok recommended? Is that Casey Neistat? Is that actually, that could be Casey Neistat. Then you got Bevo, and the smile on my face instantly dropped. One thing I want to point out as well, he's actually, like I said, he's fully embraced the bit, and he's doing a trailer here for The Unknown, turning it into like basically a horror film. And the funny thing is, if you go down into the comments, he didn't even credit the artist. So someone's giving credit there. He just responds with a balloon emoji, which is really funny because that actually reminds me of an experience I had, I think last week or so, when one of my friends, Dolan, uploaded this video of like an edit of Helldivers 2 with Breaking Bad onto his main channel, and it was stolen and re-uploaded. And then I started beefing with the guy on stream, hoping to blast him, but then he kind of realized that all he had to do was just delete the comments and keep ignoring me, because as we know, gimmick accounts will steal absolutely everything and give 0 credit. They yonked this video, posted it on TikTok, and they've edited out the watermark. He basically uploaded Dolan's entire video onto TikTok. He gave no credit whatsoever, nothing in the description, and it's already getting more views than his actual YouTube video. And also as well, like I said, he's used some kind of software to like remove... He hasn't even cropped out the watermark. He's used like some kind of like AI software to remove the watermark. And then, so what he's done is this like pathetic attempt to give credit. He's gone on and said, you know, credit for this one goes to Dolan Dark. Best one yet, made by Dolan Dark. I'm merely a re-uploader. And then I commented, because it annoyed me a bit, and I said, shouldn't have posted that if you removed the watermark. You know, if it's to stop a video from flopping, because he had this really weird excuse, because I think someone actually commented saying, but someone said, why didn't you give credit? And he basically said, it messes with the TikTok algorithm. So he's basically admitting that he's only not giving credit in the video because it's going to hurt his own TikTok page. Now, I'm not joking when I say this. Billy Cool, the guy who does all of his videos like moving his hands like this for some reason. I mean, Jesus, bro, just get a fidget toy. We all have one. But he has basically made a video shilling his production company, House of Illuminati, thinking that this is a good time to get some PR in.
Willy Cool, creator of Willy's Chocolate Experience and CEO and president of House of Illuminati. Since there is significant attention on Willy's Chocolate Experience currently, I wanted to take this moment to highlight some of the other extraordinary events and immersive experiences that we offer here in Glasgow. Perhaps the most fun and hilarious event that we put on is a show called Polak's Got Talent. It is a comedy show for Polish people. This event was a 90s themed rave. However, I must clarify that this is what the building looked like upon arrival. And this is what it looked like the day of the event, more accurately mirroring what it was like to party in the 90s. This event was a recreation of the 1997 film Romy and Michelle's high school reunion. However, we were unable to locate anyone who remotely resembled Lisa Kudrow or Mira Sorvino and were forced to cancel at the last moment. The weekend before Willy's chocolate experience, we were contacted by the World Flatulence Organization and invited to host the Flatulence Olympics, which is what you see here. And as you see, we had a live band, plenty of sweet teats, and as another note, it was held in the same location as Willy's chocolate experience, which is why some of you may have reported an odor near the chocolate river.
Well, if you look at the Willy Wonka Experience website as well, it is still there. It surprisingly hasn't been taken down. And if you go to book now, thankfully, it says the URL was not found. So I mentioned early on in the video, one of the actors or actresses to actually come out about their experience was the unknown. This completely AI-generated, made-up character from a script that someone was unfortunate enough to play. And of course, like anything that goes wrong online, there are people already talking about making a horror film about it. Apparently, there's a horror film in the works with the unknown. And like every single one of these projects ever, it's probably going to be delayed indefinitely, come out 6 years too late. I mean, we've had this over and over again. What happened to the Minecraft movie? The FNAF film, all right, fair enough, you can have that. FNAF's a little bit timeless. But a good example is the Slender Man movie. That came out like 7 years after the whole Slender Man fad died. Apparently, the synopsis of the upcoming Willy Wonka horror film, the film follows a couple haunted by the death of their son Charlie as they escape to the remote Scottish Highlands where an unknowable evil awaits them. I could not imagine anywhere worse in my life than being in the Scottish Highlands. Like, oh God. Hey, right there, mate, doing a bit of hiking, are ya? Now, she has a TikTok account that absolutely blew up overnight where she basically did a face reveal saying, yep, it's me, and also the hair I have isn't a wig. Now, one thing she did that is actually really interesting is she did an entire tour of the Willy Wonka experience. Like, she's speaking about it very negatively, so I think she was doing this after everything fell apart, which means possibly to this day, as I'm recording this video, the Willy Wonka experience is still there. They haven't moved anything. On the website, the address is the exact same. Genuinely, all the props could still be there. It's just completely abandoned. So obviously for the next video, if this gets 100,000 likes, I will sneak into the Willy Wonka experience in Glasgow, which again means going to Glasgow, which is kind of worrying.
Hi, this is an exclusive, never before seen video of the actual walkthrough of the Willy's chocolate experience itself. So yeah.
You know what one of the worst things is? When I was reacting to this on live stream, a lot of the people pointed out to me saying it looked like Insomnia, which is the event I'm doing like it this month. I did one like I think 3 to 6 months ago, but now I'm doing it again. And I would say Insomnia is better. I understand because they do hire out this whole like kind of airport, you know, kind of silo thing to run everything.
See now that you're going over the super cool chocolate river, and you can see there's love.
That is awful. The only thing which is good about this experience is like the props that they got. The props, I think they actually hired out like a professional company to make them, and they did a really good job. Like these props do actually look legitimate, but again, that's like the only good thing. Apart from that, you're basically walking through a museum that sucks.
Tall mushrooms that are just so cool, and now we're going through the super cool Twilight Tunnel, which
it looks like Beetlejuice. It looks like a bed sheet Beetlejuice would sleep on. Like, how is this a tunnel? It's just bed sheets and then 2 IKEA mirrors.
isn't a tunnel.
Sorry, 3. I make a concession. 3 IKEA mirrors.
Not Twilight's. And there's a mirror where I popped out of, which is pretty cool. And now you're in the infamous meth lab where
Should call it a meth lab?
given a singular jelly bean. And
See, she's saying a singular jelly bean. No one seems to confirm how much they actually got.
this is where people got their pictures taken with the Wonkas and the Oompa Loompas.
Mario
And I
Tunnel.
thought this type
See,
of-
one of the top comments here is saying the props are so weirdly high effort, and it's true. The props genuinely look amazing. There is no problem with them. The problem is, there was nothing else. They made the props, which should be like the backdrop stuff, but then they didn't have anything else.
the Mario pipe, and that was quite funny. And then in this room is where kids were given the lemonade, or lemonade depending on when you came.
The lemonade, great.
Yeah.
I like how all these props are just copy-pasted from the last room as well. Is this like Babby's first Halo Forge map? Is this Babby's first Gmod map? But yeah, that's pretty much all the updates I could find about the Willy Wonka situation. A lot of scams, a lot of debt, a lot of trauma, and obviously they're gonna make a film about it because they always do.